Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, a movie that simply missed its mark. So, my personal description of Batman vs. Superman is one of the most ambitious, controversial superhero movies of the 21st century, and also one of the most convoluted stories to fit in one movie. I believe many of the devout comic book fans in the community have looked at this movie and said they tried to fit into 3 comic books into one movie, obviously to no avail. It is also one of the worst superhero movies of the 2010s. I believe a lot of people do share that opinion, but there are some that say this movie is pretty good, and I'm going to get into that a bit later. So, my personal experience with Batman vs. Superman, I have seen the theatrical cut of this movie twice on DVD and on Amazon, I believe it was, and I have seen the Ultimate Edition of this movie twice as well. Most recently, actually, a few nights ago when I was trying to make this video. So, I believe the Ultimate Edition is obviously the superior version, yet it has some flaws that I'm definitely going to be pointing out in this video. So in order to really talk about Batman vs. Superman, we need to talk about the director, who is Zack Snyder. So many have called him ahead of his time, but I really do not believe that. For a multitude of different reasons that I'm going to get into later as well. He's also not a critically acclaimed director. We see a lot of his movies. I believe Man of Steel sits at a solid 56%. Well, Batman vs. Superman is at a solid 29%. He's made movies such as 300, Watchmen, Man of Steel, and most recently, The Justice League. Which actually did pretty well critically. I think it got like a 71%, which pretty good, my opinion. So, Zack Snyder is coming off of the verges of one of the most successful, critically and financially successful superhero trilogies of the 21st century, which is the Dark Knight trilogy. And a lot of the Dark Knight trilogy was carried by its dark tone and very simple plot, which this movie does not do. So, many of you wondering, why was this movie made in the first place? So this was an attempt of Warner Brothers trying to catch up to Marvel. I believe at the release of Man of Steel, we had already been introduced to all the main Avengers, and we'd already seen an Avengers movie. So this was DC kind of like, hey, we need to get in that level. And this was their attempt, which was Batman vs. Superman, basically skipping over like 4 movies, trying to get one done. And you kind of do pity DC here, because Marvel at this time already had a complete multiverse going on, or the very start of it, in a way. And DC was just trying to get on the same level. But I believe this choice of skipping right to this movie, it cost them really good storytelling. If they would have done 4 movies, maybe some different movies in between this time, kind of establish the universe like Marvel did, I feel like they would have been pretty good. I think this really cost DC good storytelling, and I think it was just a rushed idea of a movie in general. But I don't hate the DC Extended Universe, as this was called. I like actually a movie in it, and a few of them. I think Man of Steel is the best movie in the so-called Snyderverse. It's a very simple plot, very good villain in General Zod. But I believe the dark tone just throws it into a whole tailspin. I think people go into a Superman movie expecting, oh, this is going to be a lighthearted, really happy movie. But when walking out of the theaters, you just watch Superman kill someone, and you just watch Superman kill thousands by crashing into buildings. So that really threw off the tone of this movie. But I feel like, which we're going to get into this later, this was an attempt to really differentiate from Marvel. And I think it was pretty good idea in theory. They did not want to have anything closely related to Marvel, so they just went with the dark tone and tried to carry it. Because at the very beginning of the Infinity Saga, the Dark Knight saga was going on, and it was actually pretty successful. As I also stated earlier, the dark tone of Man of Steel kind of threw this movie into a tailspin. And in this movie, Superman legitimately snaps Zod's neck. And I've seen people try to defend this decision, but oh my gosh, watching this, I was just completely thrown off guard just watching Superman legitimately snap someone's neck. He also, I don't know, they mentioned this in Batman vs Superman, but he killed thousands of people crashing through buildings. Just like, oh, I'm just gonna go through here, and we see this in Batman vs Superman, which is I applaud this movie for looking at this. So we're gonna get into the video. Before that, we're gonna go over the video format of how this is gonna work. So hopefully this is the first in a series of videos going over bad movies, in my opinion, and how to improve them. First, we're going to cover the bad of this movie, then we're going to look at the good, and then we're going to look at the why or how this movie could be better. So, we're going to get on how this movie could be better. So, many people ask the question, why is this movie so bad? And I think what I look at this movie is Batman is not an established character yet in this universe. Batman is not an established character, and I think it's definitely one of the main flaws. And this was the plan to try to catch up with Marvel, but they completely skipped, I think, in my opinion, really good storytelling of it, and the way they approach Batman, I think, could have been really good. And this movie's Rotten Tomatoes review and its overall look could have been significantly improved if we'd seen a Batman movie in this time. And Batman and Superman should not be friends. After they beat the holy hell out of each other, they shared the same first name of their mothers, and then they become friends, and then Superman dies, and we're supposed to feel sad. And nothing happens in that way. Also, Doomsday's origin in this movie is very unclear. We see like Zod's reincarnated in a sense by Lex Luthor and tries to create Doomsday. But I think just his implementation to this movie, it kind of just was out of the blue. It was also Superman and Batman becoming friends, which I don't like. I believe one should come out on top. I was actually looking at a review earlier, and even the trailers, people were like, I just want to see a simple Batman versus Superman movie, and we didn't get that, obviously. We got a very convoluted movie. I think Batman should have came out on top, but that's just my opinion. It's kind of one of the flaws in this movie. We also see this random Russian storyline. Doesn't make sense. I mean, we kind of understand how he works for Lex Luthor, but like that's another point in this video, or in this bad sense that I'm gonna make. I think the African scene, it like shows Superman as it pits him as this controversial character, but I just think the approach of it was kind of weird. We see Lois Lane on this like journalism adventure, and somehow the CIA gets involved, I guess, and Superman saves Lois Lane, but in the process, like, kills a few people, which we see that he likes to do that for some reason. I think the introduction of the Justice League was horribly done. I think this should have been a post-credit scene. I don't even think this should have been in the movie. Again, an attempt to catch up with Marvel and jam-pack too much into one movie. I think the civilian viewpoint of everything going down is cool. Like, the civilian viewpoint of Bruce Wayne watching the destruction of Metropolis is actually, like, really cool. But then I feel like the employee of Bruce Wayne, or former employee of Bruce Wayne, I feel like that is kind of weird. But I mean, you kind of do see that in a way. Like Superman caused him to lose his leg, so he's like, I'm gonna go against Superman now. So I mean, I guess it's okay. Um, I don't think Wonder Woman should have been in this movie. I think if she was introduced in her own solo movie, I think that would have been really cool. Um, just because the Wonder Woman movie in general got insane critically good reviews. I think it got like a 93% Rotten Tomatoes, which was well deserved. And then the main conflict of this movie is Superman hates Batman for killing. Yeah, Batman does it himself with guns also, which I don't really know how I feel about that. And I just don't kind of get that. So I think this is kind of a good and bad part of this movie. The Darkseid logo in the nightmare sequence, which I'm going to get to later, I feel like it's really cool, but we don't like as an average like viewer of a movie. I have no idea what that symbol means. Like, are we supposed to assume that that's like this big baddie? But like, I mean, it's in the middle of the movie. Like, I don't even know if this part's in the first hour of this movie. I think of no mentions of demons should exist in this movie. If they're gonna do a nightmare sequence, I mean, just do it like Batman fighting people. You don't have to have demons like bring him into this lair of sorts. It's kind of weird. Batman should not be seen with Martha Kent at all. I feel like it's really weird. And also, this is a callback to Superman and Batman becoming besties, which I don't like. I will repeatedly state that. Lex Luthor making the mother boxes. I feel like my brain already hurt after seeing Doomsday fight. And watching this was just... I didn't know what was going on. Are we supposed to assume that, like, that's what's going on? I mean, I was just confused throughout this whole movie. The Flash cameo doesn't even make sense. I would literally had to watch like videos on what to make sense of that. And I think it was basically this movie kind of foregoed storytelling and just tried to fit in little Easter eggs about the Justice League and future films, which did not work. Why is Lois the key? Like, I don't think we're ever going to figure that out. And if you have seen the story or the plot lines of Justice League 2, we see that Lois is the key, but we don't really know that for a while, which just doesn't make sense. And originally I stated that this movie it focused too much on the comic book audience than a general audience, but actually a lot of devout comic book fans don't like this movie because it doesn't really take inspiration from a comic. It takes inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns, I believe it's called. But it kind of twists the story a bit, which doesn't really do anything for the audience goer. It also feels like two different movies. And again, it's literally a cameo. Like, there's just different cameos and different Easter eggs. I don't really feel like made sense. I feel like Robin being dead is a really cool idea, but I feel like if we had a scene that like explained his death, I feel like we'd be like, okay, this guy's going through a lot right now. But instead, we just see the suit that says, haha, joke's on you, Batman, which is kind of interesting, I guess, but not really. So why does Lex Luthor have files on the Justice League? I mean, I guess I could blame this up to being an evil mastermind, but how does he know of people like the Flash and Cyborg who haven't really ousted themselves as superhero movies, or superhero superheroes in general? The Superman running into the people while hiking on his way to the dad, like, I feel like it's weird, but yeah, I just feel like it's weird. I feel like it just completely feels out of place. I feel like the dad seems really cool, but just meeting random people while hiking, I don't know about it. Superman's death scene is like way too long. I think it lasts like 10 minutes literally, and we just met this guy like a movie ago. So, and we don't even like him yet. So watching him die, we're like, oh, we're supposed to feel so sad. I got bored at this death scene. I was like, okay, I guess Superman's dead now. This movie is a cluttered mess, is the best way to describe this movie. There's so much going on. You don't know what's going on. In general, like, I mean, unless you try to make sense of this movie, I don't know. Also, how does Superman know that Bruce Wayne is Batman? I feel like they never really stated that. Like, Superman, I feel like when he meets Bruce Wayne, they don't generally imply this, but I feel like he already knows that he's Batman for some reason. And I don't know how they know that. It's weird. Why does everyone not like Lex Luthor? They don't really state character motivations of not liking the character. Like, Superman doesn't like him. Batman doesn't like him for some random reason that we don't understand. Wonder Woman doesn't like him for some reason, and we don't even know that yet, which is just weird. And there is a specific scene in which Lois gets kidnapped, but before that, she goes up to the Russian guy and she's like, hey, I know you, but I don't know how you know him. Like, there's not really a clear context of that. Okay, we talked about the bad and we trashed this movie enough, so let's start talking about the good. The opening scene of Metropolis, where we witness the destruction of Superman and the events of Man of Steel from a civilian viewpoint, is actually really cool. I feel like it directly implies motives for Batman, and I feel like it's a really cool scene. And I feel like if they would have kept going in this route, I feel like it could have been a good movie, but obviously not. I feel like the warehouse scene, I mean, it's just amazing. I feel like obviously it doesn't make sense of where it is, but just watching Batman fight, there's something about it that just glues the eyes of the viewers that, like, oh my gosh, this Batman is brutal. And obviously he does kill in it, which, I mean, I guess it's okay. Parts of the fight between the two, like the initial fight, I think it's really cool. If they would have kept going down that route, I think it would have been really cool. Watching the kryptonite weapons being used, I feel like it shows Superman's weakness, in which they hadn't shown weakness in this universe yet. As I stated, the African scene, it pits Superman as a controversial character, which is pretty crucial. I think the Day of the Dead celebration, like, obviously Superman's a war criminal and a lot of people don't understand him, but he's also a symbol of hope. Like, people are looking at Superman like, oh god, this guy's gonna save us from every big disaster happening. But I think a really cool scene that captures this is the Day of the Dead celebration, where Superman sees a fire going on and these people bow down to Superman, and also him, I believe, in a hurricane of some sort or a flood, trying to save people. And I feel like, so I didn't understand this at first, but basically Zack Snyder was trying to pit Superman as Jesus. I believe we see Superman in the making a cross out of his hands, which in the cross position, I feel like it's kind of cool, but I feel like a religious aspect of this movie, I mean, it kind of fits, but not really. The cinematography in this movie, I mean, it's a visual masterpiece, but they completely forgoed storytelling and they just went to visual effects, which Zack Snyder's pretty much known for. But the visual effect artist, I feel like he's a really good artist, whoever been doing these movies, but they just completely forgoed storytelling, which didn't work. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is the best part of this movie. So if we look at the early reviews or the early looks at Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, people were like, okay, he's not going to do well. But I feel like he fits the character in such a way that I like personally. He's kind of this conniving, yet he's really just a nerd. And I feel like it's a cool aspect to kind of look at Lex Luthor in that way. Batman's tech is incredible in this movie. The creation of the kryptonite weapons and a lot of the weapons he uses himself, such as the suit during the fight, and I think it's just a really cool idea and trying to adapt to this already technology-driven superhero movies, which DC again was trying to catch with Marvel on that. Just a really like small part of this movie, the Batcave, is incredibly cool. It's a super simple yet complex design that I feel like kind of fits this Batman. We see like he's like an older bruiser type Batman, which Ben Affleck fit pretty well. The court scene is kind of cool, in which Superman is on trial and he kind of explodes. I feel like the Granny's peach tea is kind of a cool part of this movie as well. Yeah, I feel like the court scene it's a cool scene. There's some cool scenes dabbled in this and an overall mess of a movie. Questioning Superman's motives. I feel like it's a really cool idea. We see the events of Man of Steel, and Superman saved a whole city from an alien invasion, but in the process killed like 400 or even more people. And the question that many people point out to is one life valuable? So like, obviously it is, but in Superman's eyes, he just killed thousands of people, but really he's like, I stopped the alien invasion. So I feel like it's okay. Batman's training scene is really cool. We see his dedication to fight Superman, and his motivation's already clear, so at this point, it just shows the Ben Affleck getting ripped kind of part. So talking about Ben Affleck, his portrayal of Superman, or of Batman, I think is really cool. So this Batman, he's been fighting, I believe, for 20 plus years, they state, and a lot of his morals are gone in general. So him, I believe, it obviously does not justify killing people, which they shouldn't have done. But I feel like, I mean, it's kind of a cool idea. His morals are completely gone. Robin is dead, as we see. And I feel like Ben Affleck really captures this. I think he weighed like 231 pounds in this movie, and I believe for the role of a town, he was like 198, so he put on like 20 something pounds of muscle, which was actually, I think, very impressive, and he's pretty ripped. Superman breaking the sound barrier, there's just some satisfaction of hearing that sound. I don't know, it kind of fit well with me personally. And we also see how much of a weakness kryptonite is to Superman. We see during the fight, after he breathes in the kryptonite, he doesn't get any offense in for a while. And I think it's just a really cool idea to kind of explore. So now I'm going to get into what can make this movie good. So I don't think this movie's entirely bad, but it is a cluttered mess, as I stated. Okay. So again, this was DC's attempt to catch with Marvel. They basically foregoed like a few movies in an attempt, and they were like, let's just go right to Batman versus Superman. And in an interview in like 2004, someone stated Batman versus Superman is where you go and you have no other ideas. But this universe just started. They had plenty of ideas to go off of, but the Warner Brothers producers were like, we need to get in Marvel's level, let's make this movie. So I think if they had a Batman solo movie in this, I feel like it would have been pretty cool. Seeing a Ben Affleck movie, which we were supposed to see like after the release of Batman versus Superman, but seeing that before and not really knowing much about him, I feel like it would have been cool. If we had somewhat of like a Russian storyline in it, or maybe even like a Deathstroke, I feel like that would have been a cool movie to do. I think Lex Luthor should actually be the first scene of this movie. Superman and Lex Luthor's relationship in this movie is very clearly undefined, and we see Lex Luthor's fear of gods in general, as he is this weak man and he really wants to step up to standards. But I feel like if Lex Luthor had a scene of him showing like being conniving, or like maybe even like him having like a wall of like Superman newspapers and like having X's on all this and all of the Supermans, I feel like it would have implied character motivation right off the rip, which I feel like actually would have been really cool. So, Doomsday, I don't think he should be in this movie. I mean, like a possible post-credit scene, but he just overcomplicates an already complicated movie way too much. I feel like it doesn't really make sense to have him in this movie. I feel like this movie needs to be simply Batman versus Superman. One needs to get on top, and a possible post-credit scene of some sort of Doomsday. Maybe even like a Doomsday scream at the end of the movie. I feel like that would have been cool. The Justice League should have been a post-credit scene. I feel like if I were to make this movie, having a post-credit scene in the Justice League, it would have set it up perfectly. And if this movie would have made sense, people, I mean, this might have not made sense to people, but like comic book fans have been like, okay, cool, this is the route they're going to go down of this Justice League. I think Batman, he's like portrayed as this like kind of like good guy, bad guy in this movie. But I feel like if he's the bad guy, or like kind of this injustice character, I feel like we can kind of cope with Superman, because at this point we don't like, I personally didn't have a connection with Superman at all. I was kind of like, okay, it's Superman, but I mean, he dies and we've only seen him in one movie already at this point, so we're like, oh wow, I didn't really connect with this character at all. But I feel like watching, or like Superman trying to come out on top as a good guy, I feel like we would have understood Superman a bit more, which would have been very crucial. So, Justice League, the first mistake of this movie, or of this extended universe, Justice League should not immediately follow Wonder Woman or Batman versus Superman. So the original order of this was Batman was Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. We see Suicide Squad, then we see Wonder Woman, but then we see Justice League. And Justice League is hinted at the end of Suicide Squad and in Batman versus Superman. But I feel like if we had a Flash movie in between this time, we had an Aquaman movie in between this time, we'd already met Wonder Woman and we already met the Suicide Squad if they were going to try to implement them. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Justice League at a later point would have been a really good idea. I mean, like, we don't see the first Avengers movie from Marvel until 4 years after the release of Iron Man. And we'd already met these characters, so I feel like seeing them on screen was a really cool idea. And I feel like the spacing out of these movies, we would have had a more understanding of these characters. And obviously they're trying to get away from Marvel, but the thing Marvel did well was spacing out these movies and really like empathizing with these characters that this movie clearly doesn't do that. As far as timeline of these movies is like in general, I feel like a Batman movie should have came out like 2014, 2015. Maybe have like another superhero movie in this time, and even just a Superman and a Batman movie, and then seeing them on screen fight each other. I feel like we already would have met these characters, so I feel like this universe was just doomed from the get-go. So I think with these changes in place, I think even simply just meeting Batman in his own superhero movie and skipping the parents' death scene, I feel like we would have been empathizing with Batman and Superman more. And I think this pitting of Batman as this bad guy of sorts, I mean, it's okay. But, I mean, yeah. So I think this movie just has an identity crisis on its hand. It's trying to tackle too much into one movie, which, I mean, I don't even blame that on Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder, obviously, he would have made this movie more complicated. But, like, Warner Brothers was just trying to catch up with Marvel, and I feel like if Zack Snyder had the space to make a Batman movie and some other different movies in between even Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, I feel like we would have really understood these characters more, and a simple Batman movie, as I stated, we would have known this Batman, and we would have seen him on screen with Superman, and we're like, okay, yeah, I like these two guys. So, that was kind of quick, but that was just my initial thoughts on Batman versus Superman. I do plan for this whole this whole a movie that missed its mark kind of thing. I do plan for this to be a series. I was thinking about covering like Green Lantern, the original 2003 Hulk, even like Suicide Squad, which I actually haven't seen that movie thoroughly. So I feel like it would have been cool to look at. So yeah, guys. That's my take on Batman vs Superman. I think it's a clutter of a movie. There's a few good scenes in there, but like I feel like it's just a loud, non-cohesive movie, in a sense. And yeah, so let me know what movies you guys want to see be done on this channel. And let me know in the comments below if you are a person who enjoys this movie. I want to see your thoughts. And you can flame me as much as you want in these comments, but I just want to see like, why do you like this movie, and what are the certain aspects of this movie that you like personally. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I'll probably see you guys in like an update video of sorts, or even I'll let you guys know what the next movie review is gonna be before getting to it. But yeah, that's it, guys, and I'll see you probably in the next one.